Well, hello, everyone. It is a Morbid Sunday. It doesn't quite have the ring of a Morbid Monday. I'm gonna have to come up with another alliteration for that. Morbid Monday sounds good. Um, so guys, welcome to Morbid Monday. The audio version, of course, will be Morbid Monday. I'm not sure what to call this thing yet, but we'll see. Uh, Hey, what's going on? The Ram Man is here. Um, so this is a bit of an auspicious occasion as far as I'm concerned, mostly because I'm wearing pants. That's always fun. But more importantly, it's because this is sort of the dawn of a new day, where all the horror stuff that I've done, I've been kind of scattershot with. Some stuff is on Legion Podcast, and some stuff is over here, and some stuff is just bonus, and blah blah blah. So this is the technically the first real episode that will be in the Dark Parade feed. If you haven't listened to the episode 0, which was a thing that you have to have these days, so that you can be a real podcast and get all the stream stuff set up. The idea was I just kind of wanted to have all that under one house, under one roof, and so the Dark Parade is it. I'm going to be doing some stuff I've never done before. I'm going to be doing some stuff that I have done before, but all collected in one place. I'll still be doing the bonus stuff for the Patreon for Legion podcasts, as well as Duncan and Bo Come Correct will continue to be its own thing. Pick Six Movies will continue to be its own thing. Everything else is going to be Dark Parade. So I hope you subscribe. That would mean the world. And thanks. What's going on, Derek? So thanks again for being here. Thanks for hanging out. And I hope you enjoy it. I really do. It's something, as I said in that episode 0, I really want this to be much more of a continuing conversation between myself and you guys, so that I like the first season or series that we're doing for Dark Parade is the Psycho series. We're doing Psycho 1 through 4, and first one is in the can. It's really good, mostly because Jerry Cortez, aka Mr. Venom, is on it. That had nothing to do with me. He knows so much about Hitchcock, and it was a great conversation. That'll be dropping on Wednesday. And then we're going to do that series. I think on the back end of that, we're probably going to end up doing Night of the Demons is the idea. And that series. And then I don't know. So at some point I'll probably put up a poll in the Facebook group and see what you guys want to hear. And we'll do some one-off stuff and some bonus stuff. Heart of Horror is going to be a bonus show, and the first one of those is recorded with Kate Pollock and myself, and that was really fun. The incest conversation alone is worth the price of admission, but I'm going to leave it there so that you'll come back and listen to it. Let's see. Gary's here. Let's see. Alan's here. Dan's here. Hey, what's up, Dan? Dan, come play with us, Danny. Lee's here. Ramman's here. Great. Psycho 1 through 3 would have been a great franchise had they stopped there, but they didn't. I've never seen Psycho 4. I got to be honest with you. So I'm really excited to watch that one because I've never seen it. I heard it was not very good, and but we'll get to all that Psycho stuff. So that's kind of what Dark Parade is. It's basically just all the horror stuff that I do. And I just haven't had a show in a long time where, I guess Devour was probably the last time where I just had a show that was just straight up horror stuff. And so that's what this is going to be. It's going to be, there's going to be some other stuff mixed in. Yeah, so that's where we are with things. And then on a separate but also personal note, guys, I got to tell you, I'm having a great Halloween. I hope you guys are having a good Halloween as well. Well, I'll get to chat in a second. Keep it up. I'll get to all you knuckleheads in a second. But here's what's been great about Halloween so far. Not only do I have the spooky ooky background behind me, and the full moon rising, but these heads over here behind me. So what I do is I use a projector and I shoot those Haunted Mansion heads onto it, and that's going to be a decoration for the house, my girlfriend's house. We're not doing my place because I just don't get enough trick-or-treater traffic, and she lives in an area that gets a lot of trick-or-treaters. And so we've been working on her house recently. If you're in the Facebook group, you also Alan Sinister Sunday. There you go. Thank you. But if you're in the Facebook group, you probably saw some of the chicken wire ghosts and stuff that we put together, which I'm really excited about. I did the heads last night, and we've got to assemble all those, and then I should be getting some lights to light that up. So again, if you've ever seen any of the finished product of these, and I'll show it off once we get it all up and running as well, but it looks cool. It's a cool effect. And if it doesn't work, I've also got a bunch of mosquito mesh that we're going to drape over it so it looks like it's floating off the ground. So been doing that stuff. We've got a projector up in one of the windows. Oh, I do get the name wrong every goddamn time. It's the Phoenix thing. You're just fucking with me with the Phoenix moniker. Sorry. I'm old, and as I was saying earlier, the wrinkles on my brain are smoothing out like I'm on the Horror Express. A little Horror Express reference for you early on in the show. Yeah, so we've been having a blast decorating, getting ready for some trick-or-treaters, and also I've been doing the 31 Days of Halloween where I'm dropping a little mini review, little musings on the movies that I'm watching for that. And that's been really fun. In fact, The Howling dropped this very day, and The Howling is such a great movie. Oh my God. I really love going back to The Howling and talking about that. So, all right, let's check in with chat. Let's see what we got going on. Let's see. Lee's here. Gary saying you shouldn't put polls up in the group unless it's consensual. It's my group. I'll do whatever the fuck I want with it. Yeah, again, this is the first time I've had like a Facebook group that is just my shit. And in no way am I going to put poop on that page. But yeah, I can interact as myself and not feel like I'm just, sort of promoting Legion, which I'm happy to do and will continue to do. But also have, sort of my own identity, my own show besides. Also, feel free to check out the Rockin' Gajira shirt. Okay. So what else we got? Dan saying Psycho 2 is insanely good. It is insanely good. It is really good. Psycho 4 is better than than that Bates Motel TV film. That's about it. I don't think I ever saw that either, but again, Sinister Sunday, great. My wife legit said she found the Bigfoot costume hot, so thanks for that. It is hot, and I don't mean the more esoteric, sexy way. It is sweaty as balls in that suit. In fact, today, I did that Money Loot show. So here's how all this worked out. Win Loot is what I was on. So a buddy of mine that I know through Ian, who directed Lost After Dark, is producing that online show. It's an online game show. You basically just do a Zoom call and do some trivia questions and that kind of thing. And he said, hey, it would be really funny if you put on that Sasquatch outfit, and I'm not going to tell the host. So when you jump into this Zoom call and do this game show thing, he's not going to have any idea you're in a Sasquatch outfit until the camera comes on. And we're going to get his natural reaction to that. And so that's exactly what happened. And, but, yeah, I'm not going to spoil it. But that whole thing is going to release around Halloween, and I'll throw a link up and stuff. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time with the whole, like, I wore the outfit the entire time. And we had, some the requisite Harry and the Hendersons jokes and so forth. It was a lot of fun. And so I'll throw that, once that's available, I'll throw that link. But I had a good time, and I made some money, which I'm then going to promptly spend on some art for the podcast. Because I threw together some kind of placeholder art, and I'm not it's fine, but it's not what I want, so I'm actually going to hire somebody to do some good art. But Dan, you're also welcome, because I'll tell you, that costume already paid for itself. Just saying. You should get yourself one. And I made this joke already, but I was telling my girlfriend if she played her cards right, I'd wear that into the bedroom, and she was like, absolutely not. You will not. She was like, I did not date a furry on purpose. So, anyway. Incest discussion, ? So what are we just going to force everyone to watch incest films to make them uncomfortable? First, Chad, now Kate, who's next? That is from Robert. It came up organically. And it's a really, really funny story because Kate has the absolute best dating stories. And so I'm going to leave it there. That episode will probably be out end of the week, of this coming week, somewhere around there, as soon as I can get it edited up. And I'm just going to let that lie because it's too good. It's too good to spoil. It's not my story. It's her story, and it's very funny. You will hear me laugh heartily as she tells it on the show. Let's see. Ramman's in incest discussion. Yes. Are we talking about Amityville Horror 2? That did not come up. Although the fact that Amityville Horror 2 takes that left turn into Incest Town is one of the craziest things about that movie. Every time I watch it now, I forget that for about 20 minutes. And then I'm like, oh, right. It's not like he just looks at his sister and maybe cranks it or something, where you're like, oh, that's a little unsettling. Like, there is a straight up incest relationship going on. And it's not, the Kate story isn't quite that intense, but it's not far. I know I'm teasing, and I'm doing that on purpose, but I guarantee you're going to like it. You're really going to enjoy it. Lee says, we haven't gotten trick-or-treaters in well over 15 years. I think my house might be the haunted house the kids all talk about in my town, where the evil old man lives. So, hand to God, this happened. When we were doing, we were in Brandy's garage. Brandy's my girlfriend. We were in Brandy's garage the other day, putting together the Wire ghost stuff that you can see in the Facebook group. You can actually see some shots of that. I don't know how well that comes off. It looks cooler in person than I think the picture does. But, so we were playing around with that, and we heard some people going by on the bike, and she's already got some decorations out and stuff. Like, look, I have lucked into a great lady, and she already has some Halloween decorations going on well before I got involved. And, as the kids are going by on their bikes, we overheard them say, like, oh, this is, that's the scary house. And I was like, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. So I know how you're living, Lee, and I love it. Dan says, the Howling makes me feel icky in a good way. The Howling fucking rules. I talked about it on the 31 Days of Halloween drop, that whole bit, which I keep thinking those are going to be about 15 minutes long, and then I stop the recording. I realize I've been talking about a movie for like 20-25 minutes. And the Howling I did that with, because everything about it I love. I love how tongue-in-cheek it is. I love the effects. I love Dee Wallace in it. I like the relationship more these days. That's something that I really sort of circled back to and was like, oh, the relationship between Dee Wallace and her husband in the movie is actually really good, and kind of one of the reasons the movie works as well as it does. So yeah, it's really, really good. Gary says, been killing on the 31 days. Thanks. And, yeah, Gary's also doing 31 Days of Beast. Oh, I'm fucking up the title. 31 Beast Days. What is it, Gary? 31 Days of Beastmasters. Beast Transformers Beast Wars. 31 days. Correct me here in a minute because I got that wrong. Raymondson, you should do the next DBCC episode in the Bigfoot costume while doing your Brimley impression. A Brimley Foot, I think is what they're called. 31 Days of Howling Beast. Thank you, Gary. Sorry, I was dancing all around and couldn't get it right. So Brimley Foot is not a bad idea. Like I said, the problem, all right, the problem's twofold. One is that the costume is super hot. And wearing it, like when I was doing it for the game show thing, I was in it for probably 45 minutes or so. And it was still kind of like, oof, boy, this is getting warm. But it wasn't terrible. And hopefully, especially come Halloween, it'll be a little cooler. And so the fact that that suit is a little warm is actually going to be a benefit. But we'll see. The other thing is because of the claws that you're wearing, it's hard to manipulate stuff. You know, like if I'm just handing out candy or something like that, I can probably get away with it. But if I'm doing, like actual honest to goodness, like working the board and muting myself and making notes on the keyboard and stuff, I just can't do it in the costume. And if you're not going to be wearing the hands, then what are we even doing? And so what I did on the game show thing I did today is my left hand was that one was in costume, and then my right hand was not, so I could actually, you know, masturbate. So yeah, everybody corrected me about the Howling boost. I get it. Okay, fine. Yes, I'm stupid. Are you happy? Manipulate. That's right, Dan, manipulate. So, Brimley Foot though. That's the other thing we were talking about. So, yeah, it would be fun to do that, and I might do it for part of the episode or something. Maybe the front end of it, and then do the actual slasher discussion and without it, just so that I don't, you know, lose about 12 pounds of water weight. But it's fun. It's a fun costume. I really like it. I'm very, very pleased with it. Gary says, I need to find the right full body pajama singlet and just wear it all day, especially at places I hate, like the grocery store. Yeah, so I've worn it around Brandy's neighborhood a little bit, kind of tromped around, which is really fun. And I would probably, like, I've got woods behind my house, and I even thought of going back there in the Bigfoot outfit. And then I was like, oh, I'm just going to get shot. Like, I live in Tennessee, y'all. They will straight up murder me. They, like, you don't think they're going to try to shoot a Bigfoot in the environs, the wilds of Tennessee? No, they'll kill me. They will kill and mount me, and not in the fun way. Howling's better than American Werewolf in London, Lee says. It's a tough call. That's a tough call. I mean, if you're making those kinds of decisions, you're right in the high country. I was listening to the new We Hate Movies where they talk about American Werewolf in London, and it's really good. Like, Howling's really good too. That's the crazy thing, is that we got American Werewolf in London and The Howling in the same year. And those are two of the best werewolf movies that have ever been. Maybe the two best. We'll talk about it tomorrow on the 31 Days of Halloween. I might have a movie I like more personally, but in terms of just objectively, these are great movies with great effects and great performances. American Werewolf and Howling is where it is. Let's see. What if I ran into a real Bigfoot? You know, if I were in costume and ran into a real Bigfoot, I mean, the best you can hope for is a friend, right? Like, all of a sudden I've got a Bigfoot pal that I can hang out with. Like, I don't watch football and stuff on Sundays. What if I just had a Bigfoot, like, hanging out with me right now, like on the couch watching TV while I was doing this? That would be maybe the best thing that ever happened to me. So yes. What if I ran into a real Bigfoot? I would love it. I would feel like I was finally going home. Dan says, please do not get shot. Thank you. Also, Silver Bullet. Why does no one talk about Silver Bullet? No one, Dan. Why? I would ask you to stay tuned to the 31 days of Halloween, and perhaps very soon you will hear a chubby gentleman talk about Silver Bullet. Silver Bullet is amazing. Silver Bullet is a fantastic movie. Silver Bullet has a terrible werewolf makeup, especially in that rocket scene. That is not great because it looks like a corgi. But it's a great movie. I love Silver Bullet. So stay tuned. Yeah, Alan saying that's an Almond Joy Mound situation. Yeah, you're right. Like, Mounds is delicious because it's chocolate and coconut. Almond Joy, also delicious, and you got a little almond in there? That's fantastic, too. Is one better than the other? I don't know. They're both delicious, and I'd both and just gobble them up. So, yeah, Dan also talking about Busey. Busey in Silver Bullet, that is probably... like that Buddy Holly performance is really good, but I love his performance in Silver Bullet. Like I said, if you're happen to be listening to the 31 Days of Halloween, you might just hear me talk about why I love that Gary Busey performance so much. But I do. It's the best. It's one of my favorite performances in a horror movie, and it kind of speaks to me because there was a time in my life where I wanted an Uncle Red, like I wished I'd had an uncle that was that cool and was, just went out of his way for me and that kind of thing. And I realized that I've kind of crossed a Rubicon in my life where I no longer want an Uncle Red. I'm just too old for that now. But instead I get to be Uncle Red for my nephew, where when I see my nephew, we just play and I love him to death. And it's a weird sort of passage of time thing where I've always loved that character, and now I love that character for entirely different reasons, and it's kind of wonderful. So Gary says, depends on your tolerance for dark chocolate. Tolerance, I mean, put it in my fucking veins. Speaking of, I don't know if, hold on, can you see this? Look at this. You see this bruise here, folks? You see this? This little, this is the result of multiple IVs of late. Not because I'm on the dope, not yet anyway. But yeah, I've had, look at that. Had to get a lot of blood drawn recently. So no, the dark chocolate is my absolute favorite, and partially it's because like I've been on a new diet where I'm watching like caloric intake and that kind of thing. And dark chocolate is actually not the worst thing. And I've got a terrible sweet tooth. And dark chocolate's just not the worst thing you can eat. Like you mix a little dark chocolate and some organic peanut butter together. Not the worst thing you're going to eat in a day. And it's delicious. Not horror, but Busey and DC Cab makes me smile. Yeah, any of the pre-motorcycle accident Gary Busey performances have something going on. There's something to be said. Dan says, we all wanted an uncle like that and a turbo wheelchair. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go so far as to say I wish I had any kind of problem with my legs just so I could have a kick-ass motorized wheelchair. But watching Silver Bullet when I was a kid was like, how do I get one of those? The Silver Bullet in particular is awesome. I wish it had more to do with the end of the movie, and it kind of doesn't, but it saves his life, and, that's fine. That's fine. It's fine. Okay, so I think Alan says you're taking the decorations too far regarding the blood drawing. That was not as some of you may or may not know, a couple of weeks ago, I had a situation where I didn't think I was having a heart attack, but I thought there was something going on with my heart. And so I ended up going to the hospital and just getting checked out. Like I said, this wasn't an emergency. I wasn't like, pain shooting through my shoulder or anything like that. But I was just, I didn't feel great. I didn't feel right. I was getting lightheaded a lot. And as it happens, after multiple tests and doing stress tests and stuff like that, the end result was probably like, oh, you should take more vitamin D and also It was probably a little acid reflux, and don't be a baby. But yeah, I got kind of a scare for a while there. I was like, oh, I might have to go to the hospital and be there for a while. Like I might have to, you know how it is. Anytime there's something wrong with you that you're just not sure what it is, you have all kinds of like, oh, I got the cancer of the face or something. And so it was really it spooked me. But anyway, turns out totally fine. I people when I went for my stress test, my blood pressure had been high and was actually way back down to normal range. So again, knock on wood, we're cool. Ricky's here, right on. Welcome. All right. So enough of that business. Let's get to some other business and talk about some news stories. That's something we haven't done in a long time, so let's talk about it. Let's start with something I don't know nothing about, and maybe you guys can fill me in. And that, of course, Bad Ben. I don't know what the hell a Bad Ben is. I know that it is a found footage kind of deal, but here's the reason that it comes up is that there is a 9th film coming out called Bad Ben Benign is the name of it. I don't know nothing about it. It is Nigel Bach, I guess is the guy's name. So anyway, here's why I bring this up. First of all, I can't believe there's 9 of these fucking things. The other reason is, should I watch it? I'm asking because I love found footage movies and I've never seen any of these. I saw that, I'm turning into my grandmother. I saw that Blackwell Ghost. I saw one on Amazon Prime called The Blackwell Ghost that is very definitely, it seemed like of that stripe of just like, hey, we're making a super low budget, hey, we found a ghost in this house and we're going to check it out kind of thing. Yeah, Gary saying ask Duncan like I know Duncan in particular was not crazy about it. So yeah. Okay, some are fun. Fair enough. I'll check it out. Like I said, that's the only reason I included this news story in the Sinister Sunday. Is because I was like, I kind of want to get a poll, like an informal sort of straw poll to determine whether or not I ought to watch this. So, sounds like yes. I love the idea of a guy had a house and some cameras and decided to make a found footage horror movie. See, that's what I like too. And as long as it's entertaining, I'm totally down for it. That's my concern, is that it's just going to be a bunch of boring sitting around stuff. And I didn't really care for that Blackwell Ghost thing too much because of that reason. I've been watching a fair amount of found footage, and don't kid yourself. There are going to be some bonus episodes of Dark Parade that include found footage stuff, very specifically found footage stuff, because I need to talk about it. I got to get that stuff out of my system. The trick is going to be getting like Jamie to do it with me, because I know she likes it too. So, they're not the best, but they've got some charm to them. Great. I'll check it out. I haven't watched any of them. I'll make that happen. Okay. So that's why I included the Bad Ben thing, but let's get to some real shit. Let's talk about Scream. Scream is happening. And I don't mean the Michael Jackson song. That's kind of a banger, despite all the troubles. There is a trailer dropping a week from Monday. If you're listening to this on Morbid Monday, a week from today, there will be a first trailer for the new Scream film. It is not going to be a reboot. It's going to be a continuation. The idea is that I think some murders are going down in this small town yet again. And Nev Campbell shows back up. Courtney Cox is in it. David Arquette's in it. The usual Scream gang. Yeah, the Gary pointing out the video for Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson doing Scream. Fantastic video also. Again, I'm not talking about the troubles, just talking about how good the song and video for Scream are. So I did not care much for Scream 4. But I do enjoy Scream to a lesser extent. Scream 2. Wasn't crazy about 3 or 4. I thought 4 was real bottom of the barrel, but also I thought that it was both a little ham-fisted with all the social media stuff and also not real great with it. Like it handled it in an old man kind of way. It was like if I wrote a script about social media shit, because I am not great with social media. You need somebody young to do that take on it. And maybe that's the case. Maybe that's what they're doing now. So I hope so. Like I want there to be another good Scream movie because the original Scream is iconic. And there ought to be a good one for a new generation. Robert saying, imagine if you were able to secure one of the rooms in the Scream house for that Airbnb thing. Yeah, that'd be cool. You know, you can go, side note, to the Waverly Hills Asylum, take tours of that thing, which isn't that far from me, and I think we're going to do that before long. Just saying. Lee says, had no time for the Scream series after the first one, such diminishing returns in each sequel. I agree. I think 2 is okay. I don't think it's great. I think Scream is great. I think Scream 2 is okay. And then after that, I'm not real crazy about them. Gary says David Arquette should concentrate on his wrestling. The kid's got chops. See, that's another thing I don't know nothing about. I don't know anything about wrestling. We'll get to it. There's a wrestling thing we will talk about in a moment that I don't have any idea about, so I'm going to have to depend on you guys for that. Actually, I didn't. We'll talk about it in a minute. And then Alan says, I had no idea MJ was involved with the IRA. Yeah. The troubles, naturally. Yeah, the wheat that chafes the barley was about Michael Jackson's troubles. So anyway, in other, hey, here's a movie that's coming pretty soon news. They continue to do some casting for Salem's Lot, and this dude is in it. This dude from Game of Thrones is going to be in the new Salem's Lot. His name is Pilu Asbeck. I need to almost say it like Jay. Pilu Asbeck is now playing Striker in Salem's Lot. Pilu Asbeck. Yes, young master. It's time for you to meet Pilu Asbeck. I could kind of do that all day. So please don't encourage me. So Pilu Asbeck is going to take over the James Mason role from Salem's Lot, or the Donald Sutherland role from the one what had Rob Lowe in it, if you're more inclined. I don't mind that Salem's Lot with Rob Lowe as much as some people. I don't think it's great. I think it's all right. It's not the Tobe Hooper classic. The Tobe Hooper one is the fucking shit. Obviously, slight spoilers here for Midnight Mass. Watching Midnight Mass reminded me how much I would love a great adaptation of Salem's Lot, which Midnight Mass almost is, in a weird way. Ricky says he stopped at Scream 2. The bad Scooby-Doo ending did me in. Yeah. The ending of Scream 2 is not great. But some of the classroom stuff, and it's kind of fun to see Timothy Oliphant in an early role there. I think he's pretty fun in it. Daniel says channeling Sir Ian McKellen. That is James Mason, sir. Just listen. It's James Mason. Come on, Dan. I mean, you're from the UK. You ought to know better than anybody how good my James Mason is. Please. Pilu Asbeck. Yes, is he the master? All right. Anyway, I'm going to end up doing that all night now, and you guys are all partly responsible as far as I'm concerned. Lisa's kind of excited for the new Salem slot, as am I. I'm always open for the idea. Second season at Castle Rock was there, and Chapelwaite, which is based on Jerusalem slot prequel story, is really good. I see. What is that on? It's on? Somebody tell me. Epix? Is that what Chapelwaite is on? And I just can't get another streaming service in my life right now. But I would like to see it. I'm probably gonna have to like get it off of Amazon or something, like buy the series there. I need to look into that because I've heard good things about it. And I love the Jerusalem slot story. Little side note, little personal note. When I was a kid, I had some of those night shift audio cassettes, like the books on tape. This was well before like the super popularity of audiobooks like you have today. And it was selected stories from the Night Shift collection, not everything, but one of the things on there was Jerusalem's Lot. And I listened to that a ton. Read the story a bunch of times. I think it's incredibly creepy. One of my favorite Stephen King short stories, quite frankly. And the fact that it's kind of, a backdoor prequel to Salem slot, that's just icing on the cake, frosting on the muffin, as we say on Duncan and Bo Come Correct. So, I really want to see Chapelwaite. I just don't want to get an Epic subscription to do it, or if I do, I want to wait till like the first season is done, and then I'll just go like all in that way. We'll see. But I do want to see it. Gary says, unpopular opinion, I like Return to Salem's Lot better as a film. Larry Cohen's interesting. And Michael Moriarty is always fun. It's not they're two different animals as far as I'm concerned. Although I don't, that's not a wrong opinion. Because it's an opinion and no opinion is right or wrong. But yeah. Alan saying a good buddy of mine is in it as Puddle Girl. Lee saying Chapelwaite is some awesome gothic horror stuff. Yeah, that's what I keep hearing. I kind of want to watch it. With Lovecraft undertones. Right, well, so did the Jerusalem's Lot story is kind of the rats in the walls to some extent. It's sort of a retelling of that, but then you whip a little, a little bit of vampire, but also when you go to the village, there's the whole Book of the Worm thing, and that's very Necronomicon-esque. It's Jerusalem's Lot as a short story, fucking rad. So I'll check out, might even do it tonight. I got to wrap up one more 31 days viewing for tonight, but it might happen. Might watch a couple episodes of that. Dan says the FX in the sequel cracked me up. Yeah. Well, of course. Very silly. Lisa, Sam Fuller with a Luger hunting vampires is pretty sweet. Again, not wrong. Okay. Enough of this Salem's Lot business or Jerusalem's Lot business. Let's keep moving. You know what? Let's save that till the end. Let's go to you guys. There is yet another edition of Evil Dead 2 and Evil Dead coming out on 4K. It is called the Groovy Collection. And it is Evil Dead 2, both in 4K, not Army of Darkness, because that's a different production company and whatnot. I'm sure couldn't get the rights to that. Or just it was complicated. It also is going to contain all 3 seasons of Ash vs. Evil Dead in this collection. It's kind of one of those things, like if you don't have Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 in a good format and also would like to get Ash vs. Evil Dead in a similarly good format, there you go. Get this Groovy Collection. But the joke I have made about this collection is that the Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 are the Skyrim of movies. Every format, there are numerous editions, every platform. It's a little silly. Just a little bit silly. I really enjoy all of that stuff, and I might be in for this particular collection just because I would like to have Ash versus Evil Dead, and I would like to have those two films on 4K. But I'm also a little like, just stop now. I want them to promise me this is the last time they're going to put this out. Let's check out the details real quick, just so I get this right. So nope. That is not what I want. That's what I want. Okay. So it's all 4K. There's audio commentary on Evil Dead, which it might be the old audio commentary, I'm not sure. Couple of special features, again, probably stuff collected from other editions. Evil Dead 2, with a bunch of special features, and then Ash vs. Evil Dead in 4K. And it's got all the season stuff. It's got special features based around that. The box for it is pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it's a great collection. I'm just tired of buying Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. That's all. I just want them to promise me, like pinky swear to me, that we're done now. So Ricky says Evil Dead is the new George Lucas. Kinda, right? Like, what is the Army of Darkness? Is it the Boomstick edition that's got both endings on there? And it's good. It's great. I don't need to buy it again. Ramman saying, I'm starting to think Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell love money more than John Carpenter. John Carpenter, does he love money? Sure he does. John Carpenter just has a healthy attitude about remakes and reboots and all that shit, which is, and other people have quoted this, but it's still a great quote, is every time that they say what they want to do a remake of one of my movies, I hold out my hand and a check falls into it. And that's fine. That man has earned the right to not give a shit about anything. He can sit around making his music and smoke weed and play Destiny, and great. Dude, that you have earned the right. You're one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, despite Ghosts of Mars and The Ward. But come on. A new Evil Dead home media release must be Tuesday. Yep, you're not wrong. Dan saying throw some Ewoks in. I'll tell you, you want me to buy a new edition of Evil Dead 2, you tell me that some Deadite possessed, Kandarian possessed Ewoks are running around. That's how you get me to watch that Star Wars Visions on Disney Plus. You tell me that there's some, Ewoks that are like, chub chub, let's read some Necronomicon, and they get all wide eyed and I swallow your soul. I swallow your soul. That would be great. Lee says get Evil Dead on your wristwatch. Yeah, right. Like the Doom shit. Yeah, sure. I still remember the early 2000s peak when it felt like everyone was releasing a new version. Yeah. Like, maybe it's been enough time. Maybe it's just that I'm old now. And, well, I know I'm old now. But maybe it's just that I've seen so many of these come and go that I'm just like, okay, you're doing it again. Fine. Just stop. Gary says, I need a super special edition of The Quick and the Dead before Mr. Hackman passes away. Man, I really respect the fact that Gene Hackman is one of those actors that I dearly love. I'd love to see him do another project, but I also kind of dig the fact that he's just like, I'm done. I'm tired. Like he did a Daniel Day-Lewis. Like, I'm just going to go enjoy the rest of my life. And, for a guy that gave us, 4 decades worth of great performances, like, again, you've earned it. Hang up your spurs. Selfishly, I would love to see Gene Hackman do another like Clint Eastwood movie or something, but it's fine. Gary says my favorite Raimi, one of the best casts ever, referring to Quick and the Dead. You're right. It's a great. I'll tell you, one that goes overlooked, but is a great Sam Raimi film and also a terrific ensemble cast. A Simple Plan. A lot of people don't consider that in the oeuvre of Sam Raimi. Great Sam Raimi movie. It's very, it's certainly got a bit of Hitchcock to it, but also, it's kind of Raimi doing Coen Brothers, which is also kind of doing Hitchcock. But it's really good. Simple Plan's a fantastic movie. Ewok Dead, very good. Well played. Then we've got Raman saying, Ice Cube recently said he only did Ghosts of Mars because he couldn't pass up working with Carpenter. Sure, of course. And, look, much love to Ice. I think that I don't think that Ghosts of Mars is a good movie. I think it's Carpenter kind of doing a Western in space, and I dig that. But it also feels like he kind of didn't give a shit to some extent. It's just not great. I've seen plenty of worse films, and I just wish Ghosts of Mars were like Assault on Precinct 13 in space. But it just doesn't have that kind of energy to it. And I don't know that, as beautiful as Natasha Henstridge is, I don't know that I think she's great in that. Ice Cube, although, Ice Cube and Ice-T both, great Twitter follows. I highly recommend that. Ice-T in particular, because Ice-T has that level of old man don't give a shit that Carpenter has. That's who John Carpenter ought to work with these days, is Ice-T. That's my feelings. Lee says, yeah, the dude is as old as Eastwood. At least he knew when to quit. Yeah. I haven't seen the Macho Man Camacho on HBO, the new Eastwood joint, but like Eastwood was great in his day. It's just he's old, The man's like 117 years old. Ricky saying that great Raimi film. I'm assuming you're talking about Simple Plan, and you're right. You are right. Once more, Mr. Morgan, you are correct. Some more Simple Plan love from Alan Raman saying, Ice-T is the best person to follow on Twitter. One of my favorites. I like him a lot. I like Sam Neill a lot because it's all just pictures of animals that he's raising. Yeah, I've got a handful of those Twitter follows that I like. It just makes me feel good. Like most of the time, I think Twitter is incredibly toxic, more so than Facebook. But I keep my Facebook kind of interaction really curated. Twitter, it's hard to avoid some stuff, and even film Twitter is a little too gatekeepy and that kind of thing. And again, also because I'm old, when people are like, oh my God, guys, have you seen this movie Jaws? It's great. I'm like, ugh, this is just not my crowd. But yeah. Lee's gotta run. Thanks, man. Thanks for stopping in. They must be destroyed on site, by the way. Lee Russell show. Come back and see us again soon, Lee, and check out TMDOS. So, right? Yeah. I see it pop up all the time, abbreviated, and I think I've committed it to memory. So, okay, next news story. We got two more here. Let's do this one. You can buy the house that was in The Conjuring and make a Bad Ben movie, which would be more entertaining. That's not part of the news story. But if you wanted to buy the house from The Conjuring, it is on sale. And you can buy it for the low price of $1.2 million. It is, it's opened. They have let paranormal investigators roll through that joint, but you could have it for yourself. Here's a description of the property. Legend has it the home is haunted by the presence of Bathsheba Sherman, who lived in the house in the 1800s. To this day, countless happenings have been reported. the chilling stories, incidents, and recollections of residents and visitors of the property have been told in dozens of media productions, including books, movies, and television shows. So, you can make money by letting people roll through that place. So, that's it. That's all the story is. Just if you have $1.2 million laying around, you can own that house. If you don't want it, that's understandable. Gary pointing out rightly that Lee Russell also on Last Call at Torchies, which is a terrific show that looks at the films of Walter Hill as well as some surrounding films and bonus episodes. A little bit of Patreon action there. Patreon.com/Legion Podcasts. Dan saying, I hear you're a big fan of the Warrens, Bo. I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of people make that mistake. I think that buying the house is separate from my kind of knee-jerk hatred of Ed and Lorraine Warren. The other night, in fact, when I was talking to my girlfriend, she was saying that she had a bit of fondness for Lorraine Warren, and I was like, this is a conversation for a different time. She knows how I feel about him, but we're not going to get in there. We're not going to get into it. Anyway, let's get to the final story of the evening. And then we'll do a quick rundown of some movies that are coming to streaming in the coming week. But first, speaking of The Conjuring, there is a list that just came out very recently in which some folks decided that they were going to determine what the scariest movies were. And so they did a comparison of average resting heart rate and then the average heart rate during the movie as well as the spike. And this is that list. So according to this metric, the scariest movie of all time being what is the average heart rate during watching a regular schmegular movie, and the spike, or the difference between the resting heart rate and the average heart rate. So that is Host from Shudder. I'm sure that it's available elsewhere now also, but the movie Host, in which some people are on a Zoom call and then ghostly stuff happens. Rounding out the list from 10 to 1, number 10, The Conjuring 2, speaking of the Warrens. Number 9, Paranormal Activity. Number 8 is A Quiet Place Part 2. Number 7 is It Follows. 6 is Terrified, which is one of the more interesting. Like, It Follows and Terrified are kind of interesting additions to that list. Hereditary is number 5. Number 4 is The Conjuring. Number 3 is Insidious. Number 2 is Sinister. And number 1 is Host. Now, here's my take on this, because that's what you came for, is to hear old Hot Take Ransdale serving them up fresh daily. I think that the measure of, hey, this got your heart rate up, is more of a thriller. And I'm not saying that these movies are thrillers. I'm saying that's the sort of biological response, is that these are movies that get your heart rate up. Scariest, I think, is a different animal, because I think there are movies that linger with you that don't necessarily get your heart up in the same way. Like, we're talking about jump scares, especially when you're talking about Insidious and Sinister and stuff like that. You're talking about movies where shit is popping out at you, and it's a fun house. And there's nothing wrong with going into a fun house, but that's what you're doing. Whereas, Hereditary is a slightly different animal. I think that's more accurate in terms of, this is a movie that makes you feel bad all the way through it. And Terrified, I would kind of put in the same category. But I will say that there is something to be said for the lingering dread of a horror film that sticks with you long past the experience in the theater. Like I saw A Quiet Place 2 in the movie theater. And you know what I thought? I thought that movie was totally fun, and then I left the theater and I haven't really thought about it anymore. Whereas a movie like take Salem's Lot for example, that OG Tobe Hooper film. The image of the kid scratching at the window doesn't necessarily get my heart rate up, but it still scares the shit out of me. So it's, it's splitting hairs a little bit, and perhaps it's being a little semantic, but I just don't know that saying this is the scariest movie, the most thrilling movie, sure. The scariest, I don't know about that. Ramman says we ought to buy the Warrens' house and turn it into a museum exposing them. Dan agreeing. I also would agree. Also, Dan says probably would agree with the top 3. Yeah. Okay. Again, not saying anybody's wrong. I'm saying I don't know that scariest is the right label for this. Ricky saying I'd take Wreck over any of these. See, that was one I thought where I was like, Wreck had me at a point where I almost turned the movie off because it was affecting me so much. Yeah, Wreck is so good. Dan says, I'm of course referring to jump scares in my above. Yeah, okay. So yeah, right. If you're doing jump scares, totally right. Alan saying try the same metric with scat porn. Have I told the story about the poo video that I got from Chad, co-host of Pick 6 Movies? If I haven't, I probably shouldn't, but that happened. Ricky says, the kid at the window is still a nightmare vision of mine too. Yeah, one that, like, anyone who saw that as a kid or as an adult, it's one of those things that sticks with you. It's terrifying. Dana Green and Gary saying it's the blank eyes. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. So enough tomfoolery. Let us turn our attention to shenanigans rather than tomfoolery. We're going to run through just a list between now and the next time we talk. Here's some stuff that you can find on the popular streaming services, horror movies that are releasing. There are now, since the last time I did this, there are now like 15 more streaming services. So we're not going to do all of those. Dan saying tell the poo video story. All right, let's take a brief pause before we get into the streaming movies. So what happened was, I was probably 18, 19, somewhere in that neighborhood. Chad shows up with a tape, and I can't remember where he got it. It had to have been some of our less than trustworthy friends. But anyway, he's like, hey, I've got this German Scheisse film, and we ought to watch it, not because it's a turn on in any way, because it's not, but just because, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want that experience of seeing something that perhaps, you wouldn't ordinarily see? So we ended up watching this German poo video, kind of fast forwarding our way through it. But it was still way longer. I mean, it felt like it went on forever. It was probably like 45 minutes and we watched it in about 25, but that's still 25 minutes of seeing people, pee and poo and other people, be peed and pooed on. And sometimes they ate and drank the pee and poo, and it was all disgusting. So, but yeah, that is a thing that lives in my brain. And anytime that I feel like just being, like it's the kind of thing you think about when you don't want to orgasm, is like, oh, remember that time I saw a guy strapped under a toilet seat lid on a stool, and then somebody sat on that toilet seat. So yeah, peanut butter, not the best idea right now. Um, anyway, yeah. Right. The Kino, but the Kino one's free, right? We're talking about in chat the Kino Lorber, um, streaming service, but I think that's free. Like it's kind of a Tubi situation, I believe. Anyway, okay, enough of that. Let's get to what is streaming and pretend that poo conversation never happened. So I'm keeping this to kind of the big ones like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, a little bit of Disney. So Netflix, here's what's coming between now and October 10th when we do this again. So Are You Afraid of the Dark Season 1, which I've never seen, but I know a lot of people love Are You Afraid of the Dark. The Cave, which I think is the Wings Hauser movie, which I have also never seen, but I always liked the poster, but I heard that it wasn't as much of a monster movie as I would like it to be, but that mean you guys tell me, should I see The Cave? If the answer is yes, send me a poo video. Don't you dare send me a poo video. What else? The Devil Inside, which is really terrible found footage. Zodiac, the David Fincher movie. I know you can maybe argue that's not a horror movie, but it's about a serial killer and it's one of the best movies ever made, and it should be watched all the time. Here's one that I'm going to need your help with, ladies and jelly spoons, and that is Netflix's Escape the Undertaker, which I think is an interactive horror movie. And I know that the Undertaker is a wrestler, but I don't know anything else about him. Isn't he very old, and shouldn't they like just get him some hot tea instead of try to escape him? Is there somebody new playing the Undertaker? Is it one of those things where they've kind of passed the name on to other wrestlers? I'm just asking. Ramman saying, Are You Afraid of the Dark is great gateway horror, and Zebo the Clown is legitimately scary. Like I said, that hit after I was, watching that kind of age range stuff, but I'm curious about it. Wrapping up Netflix, there is an original film called There's Someone Inside Your House, which I assume is about someone being inside your house. And there is an adaptation of a book called A Tale Dark and Grim, which I think is actually kind of an anthology. Which, by the way, that Night Books, kind of speaking of gateway horror, Night Books on Netflix, really good, also really good gateway horror. Dan Bone says he is very, very old. Gary will know more. I assume talking about The Undertaker. Alan is saying, I think he's going up against Gene Hackman. Right. Gene, it's the Hoosiers of horror as Gene Hackman faces down The Undertaker. Which, when you put it like that, not against it. Not against it. And the very last thing between now and when next we talk from Netflix is Insidious Chapter 2, which, all right, fine. Okay. Let me check chat real quick. Gary confirmed still the same Undertaker. The name is Mark Calloway. And Dan pointing out the Escape the Undertaker, directed by Clint Eastwood. Great. It was about time, that those contemporaries got together. Gene Hackman, Mark Calloway, Clint Eastwood, doing it for you again. On Hulu, something called Blippy Spooky Spells Halloween, which is a new thing. I don't know anything about it, but I do like saying Blippy's Spooky Spells. Here's one, again, not quite horror, but one you ought to watch if you've never seen it and you've got the Hulu. Dead of Winter from 1987. That is a movie that stars Mary Steenburgen and Roddy McDowall. And do you need more information? It's a thriller a mystery thriller starring Mary Steenburgen and Roddy McDowall. Let's not screw around here, people. Yeah. It's really good. It's a really good movie. Also on Hulu, Exorcist: The Beginning. Because if ever there was a movie that needed a prequel, it was The Exorcist. Flatliners from 1990. A movie that has a much better idea than execution. Also, I think, who was it? Bill Hader is the one who said it. It might have been in, I can't remember what movie it was in, but he plays a character who says one of his hobbies is flatlining. And I put to you, viewers and listeners, if you really want to make me laugh, or just like people of my ilk, the next time somebody asks you what your hobby is, name a couple of normal things and slip flatlining into that mix. Dan says Flatliners, great cast, boring film. I agree. Alan pointing out Dead of Winter is so good. You are absolutely right. Mary Steenburgen, Gary says, still have a big thing for her. Not my junk. That's just adequate. Yeah, Mary Steenburgen, when I was a kid, I think I saw Time After Time and fell in love with Mary Steenburgen and have been ever since. She's still a beautiful woman. I love Mary Steenburgen in ways that I can't really talk about with other people. Also on Hulu, a documentary called Hunt for the Skinwalker about the Skinwalker Ranch. I think I saw that one. I remember it being okay. And it's an interesting story. Not an interesting story is Queen of the Damned from 2002, which answers the question, what if Interview with a Vampire, but worse? Speaking of, Resident Evil Retribution from 2012. You don't need to see that movie, but that's going to be available on Hulu. Also on Hulu, every single Species movie. That's 1, 2, 3, and The Awakening. You can stop at 1. Species 1, totally fine. Everything after that, inching towards softcore porn. By Species 3, you're just there. But yeah, that first Species movie is totally fine. Aaliyah, yes, Dan, Aaliyah is in Queen of the Damned. Travis asks, any thoughts on Willy's Wonderland? You know, I've missed that one so far. I heard that Nicolas Cage doesn't have any dialogue in it. And at that point, I was like, well, I'm less interested already. Because one of my favorite things is to hear Nicolas Cage say things. So I haven't watched that yet, but perhaps I should. Dan saying, Species 4, one of the poorest things I've ever witnessed. 100%. It's terrible. And The Awakening's real bad too. I've seen them all. I've made such poor decisions. What else? Okay. Also on Hulu, here's a good one though. Theater of Blood, with Diana Rigg and, of course, Vincent Price. Terrific movie. Great movie. Not a great movie. Victor Frankenstein. I think written by Max Landis, one of them. And that's not a very good adaptation of the Frankenstein story. Also not great, The Village, from M. Night Shyamalan from 2004. The Village was the first movie where I felt personally offended and was angry at myself for not having left. But also, how could I have known that the ending was going to be that stupid? So that was rough. Let's see. Dan Bone says, the 3 Wild Things sequels were worse than the Species sequels. You know what? That is, I haven't watched any of the Wild Things sequels. I've only seen the original, which I have a lot of time for. I think Wild Things is really fun trash. But I've been so close to watching some of those Wild Things sequels. And I still might. Even if you tell me that the worst things ever, still might. Because, again, I make a lot of bad decisions for myself. Rayman says, did you see Jacob's Wife? It has your future ex-wife, Barbara Crampton. I haven't yet. It is on my short list of things to watch. Like I said, I'm kind of rounding out my 31 days of Halloween. And slight spoilers, Jacob's wife is not part of that. I'm really excited to see it. I know it's got Larry Fessenden as well, who I feel like Larry Fessenden is my spirit animal. And so, yeah, I want to see it. I've heard it's a good performance from Barbara Crampton. Yeah, for sure. I haven't seen it yet, but I will sooner rather than later. Alan says, I've got a story re-species for you and Kate's new show. Here's the thing. We'll say this. You'll hear us say it on the show. If you have a story that is romantic in nature, and especially if it's a romantic misadventure, because a lot of the conversations we have are about that, you do not have to get blown up for it. If you would like to message me or Kate, either one, like if you prefer to tell Kate this story or if you want to tell me the story, and say like, do not put my name on this, but I would like to tell this story or share this story, please do. And we will absolutely keep the integrity of your privacy intact. But also, once you hear the show, I think you'll get a feel for the level of honesty we come at this from, where we told some stories in the first episode that are kind of embarrassing, but also, that's kind of what the show is. Like relationships and love is messy. And in fact, the subtitle, the tagline on Heart of Horror is a podcast about love and other nightmares. And that's kind of what it is, because all relationships end one of two ways. You either get married or you break up. And when you break up, shit gets messy. So anyway, I think you're going to enjoy that show. But yeah, if you do want to share something, but you don't want your name attached to it, or you just want the names changed to protect the innocent or whatever it is, just shoot me a message via Facebook or Twitter or whatever. And all you got to do is on the PS of that say like, just please don't use my name, but here's the story. So please do that. Don't be shy. We're not going to fuck with anybody for goofs. Robert saying that he loves Theater of Blood so much. How can you not? It's amazing. Raman says every horror movie can be elevated by Vincent Price and Donald Pleasance. Again, not wrong. Not wrong at all. And that's that one's real tongue in cheek and very like, mod 60s and so forth, even though I think it's from 73, but it's on the tail end of it's that crossover period between the 60s and 70s that all the fashion is terrible and the haircuts are hilarious, and I love all of that. Riggy says, yeah, that ending stopped me from watching anything else M. Night put out. The Visit has its moments. I do like Split. I think Split's a good movie. I didn't watch Glass. Maybe I should. But yeah, The Village made me angry. I really hated the ending of The Village. Dan, on the other hand, saying, how dare you speak ill of The Village? I'll speak ill of the last 10 minutes of The Village, because a lot of The Village I really like. And that's why one of the reasons I was so mad. I was mad, I tell you, mad. One of the reasons I was so angry at The Village is because I liked the movie up till then, because it has a lot of great actors in it. It's, Sigourney Weaver and William Hurt and Adrian Brody, and like a lot of good performances, a lot of good actors, and just that ending is garbage. I'm just going to keep the opinions on the Species series to myself. You don't have to, like I like the first one. I think the first one's kind of fun trash, but the rest of it, not so much. Alan asked, does it have to be funny? The story? No. Some of the stories we tell are not funny. They're just like, hey, here's a story of me doing something humiliating. I tell one of those on that first Heart of Horror. You're going to hear me blow myself up about being in a relationship, 20 years ago now, so I don't give a shit. But yeah, I behaved badly. Let's see. Ricky says, I will send you a story and you will know it's mine because it's signed, hey, would you blow me? Hey, would you blow me? Gotcha. Dan says, the last 10 minutes of The Village. Yeah, I guess I'll let you have that. Look, that's the thing. M. Night Shyamalan, not a bad filmmaker in any way. Just the it didn't have to be a twist ending. Just do a movie about this village trying to keep everybody. Anyway, it's just it's so bad. All right, blah blah blah. Also on Hulu, Wolves at the Door from 2016, which I haven't seen, but it is a horror movie, and that means at some point I'll try to. Wrong Turn 2 from 2007 is on Hulu, which is a pretty fun sequel. It's not as big a production. It's not as I was going to say classy. No, that's not the right word. It's not as polished as Wrong Turn, but it's fun. Wrong Turn 2 is totally fun movie. On Amazon, between now and next we speak, a movie called Bingo Hell, which is Amazon original, as is one called Black as Night. Of the two, I've heard that Bingo Hell is not very good, but I would like to see Black as Night. That sounded pretty interesting, kind of a vampire movie, from what I'm led to believe. Also, Anaconda on Amazon, coming to Amazon Prime. And you can hear more about that on Pick 6 Movies. Exorcist: The Beginning, and Resident Evil Retribution, also coming to Amazon Prime along with Netflix. The Last Exorcism from 2010, which is a great movie. Also, kind of until about the last 10 minutes. I'm not crazy about that, but I think a lot of The Last Exorcism is quite good. And The Thing, 2011's The Thing, which is a movie I revisited not very long ago at all. And I still can't get into it. I think it's got a really good cast. I can't with that movie. It gets everything almost right, and there's enough almost right to make it feel kind of wrong. And then finally, Prometheus on Amazon Prime. And Prometheus is a movie I should go back and revisit because I was kind of put off by it the first time I saw it. Let's see. Dan saying, I'll just remember that Sir Ben Kingsley is in The First Species. That is weird. You say it's weird, and it is weird. Wrong. Yeah. Look, Dan, I know Wrong Turn and Classy is not. That's not right. Those words aren't right. But it's what hit. It's because I was watching The Changeling earlier today, and I was laughing to myself about this is a classy horror movie. You want a ghost story that's a little classy? It's a Changeling. I just like using that voice and saying the word classy. On Disney Plus, a couple of kids stuff. You've got Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales and The Scariest Story Ever, a Mickey Mouse Halloween Spooktacular. The reason I really brought up Disney Plus, though, is that Muppets Haunted Mansion, a brand new thing, is happening next Friday, or this coming Friday. And by the next time we talk, I will have seen that because I cannot wait to watch Muppet Haunted Mansion. I don't necessarily think the most recent Muppet stuff. I thought the new Muppets movie with Jason Segel was really good, but I don't know that all the Muppet stuff in the modern era has been great. But combining the Muppets and the Haunted Mansion, I also watched on Disney Plus. If you have the Disney Plus, they have these behind the ride kind of videos, and I watched the one on Haunted Mansion, and it's it's promotional. It's kind of geared for kids, but I thought it was really interesting. And Haunted Mansion is one of my favorite things in the world. I love Disney's Haunted Mansion, and I'm very excited to see the Muppets combined with that. Rayman saying that he's always liked Prometheus. I don't think that's wrong. I need to watch it again. Ricky agreeing, saying he likes it quite a bit. Dan says he didn't like Prometheus on first watch, but has since seen it several times and really likes it now. But yeah, that's kind of why I want to go back and watch it, because now I don't have any expectation. I just want. In fact, my expectations are lowered, and I think I might enjoy it on that level. Rayman asking, have I seen the theory that Kermit caused 9/11? I have not. and I'm interested, but also, do I need to? No, I do not. I don't need to learn how to land, just to fly. Alan saying, "No, something wicked this way comes." I think that's already on Disney Plus. I'm just doing the new stuff. I think that's there, but Something Wicked This Way Comes is a great Halloween watch. In fact, I might watch that tonight. All you have to say, you just have to mention it. Talk about a great Jason Robards performance, ladies and jelly spoons. Jason Robards is so good in that. That scene with him and Jonathan Pryce in the library, where Jonathan Pryce is tearing out the pages in his book of life, and there's 35, still young enough to raise a family, and there's 40. Oh, it's so good. Damn. Oh, Something Wicked This Way Comes is a terrific movie. Gary says, watch Muppets from Space if you want to have a sad gonzo story, like me. Yeah, Muppets from Space is okay. The bear character is really the winner there, I feel. And Ricky saying the only eye roll moment for him in Prometheus is outrunning the giant donut. Yeah, that's pretty silly. That's pretty silly. Okay, we're not done. We've still got a couple of streaming services to go, by which I mean one. And this is HBO Max, which I'm including because they do a pretty good job with their horror selection. They all, like, HBO Max is also some Criterion stuff and some Warner Brothers stuff and that kind of thing. So coming to HBO Max in the coming week, Down a Dark Hall, which is this Uma Thurman kind of creepy boarding school kind of story. Never seen it, but fine. Hearts in Atlantis with Sir Anthony Hopkins, which is a Stephen King adaptation. Again, not totally horror, but it's there. House of Wax, not the original. This is the Paris Hilton movie. And look, I'm going to tell you right now, House of Wax, totally good horror movie. It's trashy, it's sleazy, but it's a totally good horror movie. I like House of Wax quite a bit. Also on the HBO Max, House, not Houseu, but House with William Catt, a terrific 80s horror film also. In fact, you have probably seen me wearing that shirt at one time or another if you've caught me on a stream. Misery, which is, again, terrific horror film, a great Stephen King adaptation. Orphan, speaking of sleaze, Orphan, that is a great trashy movie. Orphan is a Lifetime movie elevated to a quality film by the actors in it. But it is good and trashy in a way that I really like. What else? Dan Bone says we don't have a HBO Max over here. It's are you missing too much? Nah, but it's all right. Speaking of HBO Max, the first part of the animated Spawn series was really good. Not sure why the quality dropped so much after. Yeah, I watched a handful of those episodes, and I don't remember, like, I just didn't latch on to it. But yeah, Ricky standing for House of Wax also, for sure. Dan saying that he loves Paris's death scene. Yeah, I mean, that was our crowd pleaser, right? Like, they knew, hey, people kind of want to see her die, and they want to see her die badly. And that's what happened. It was great. It was great. Gary says, the entire Miyazaki collection, not horror, but I need it in my life. Talking about HBO Max, yeah, they have all the Miyazaki movies. Alan McPherson saying, House of Wax might be my fave of that era of survival horror. Yeah, it doesn't get a lot of love, but it oughta. It's a good horror film. And then rounding out the last of the movies, and then we'll play one more. Catch up with chat, and if you want to ask any random questions, feel free, but we've been going for about an hour, almost an hour and a half, so we'll cut this loose pretty soon. But any questions that you have for me, drop them in the chat, and we'll get to that on the back end of this. So Orphan, Stigmata, which I have seen, but it has been so long, I remember almost nothing about Stigmata. The Invisible Man, the new Lee Winnell Invisible Man, which is a terrific movie. I like that quite a bit. I thought I'm a big fan of oh geez, what is the actress's name who I can't recall now? The one from oh boy, Mad Men and The Handmaid's Tale and Us, and I can name every project that she's been in, and I cannot think of her name. But anyway, terrific actress, terrific film, a really smart take on what the Invisible Man ought to be in a modern context. Really liked it. Really liked it. The Right with also Sir Anthony Hopkins on HBO, which is as boring as a movie you could watch. And unsurprising. That's another movie that's like, oh, who could the villain of this movie be in which there are two characters and it's clearly not the one guy. Corpse Bride is on HBO Max this week. So, you know, that's something. It's no Nightmare Before Christmas, but it's all right. Underwater with Kristen Stewart. Let me tell you, if you haven't seen Underwater with Kristen Stewart, totally watch that movie. Underwater is great. It's a good underwater monster movie, and it goes places. Like, that is a movie that will go, it aims for the bleachers. I really liked it. Speaking of a movie that I think is kind of unfairly maligned at times, and not quite a horror film, but the zombie comedy Warm Bodies with Nicholas Hoult, which is kind of a retelling of Romeo and Juliet. Warm Bodies, completely charming movie. Really nice. Not great, but it's a totally fine diversion. And finally on HBO Max, It Chapter 2 is finally coming to HBO Max. I think the original Chapter 1 of It has been there for some time. So that is everything coming to the streaming service. Not everything. Look, I'm not going to do Tubi because Tubi has like 37 movies dropping every day. But, you know, there's some good stuff there. So let me catch up with chat here. Let's see. I finally saw House of Wax a few years back and didn't understand why it got the level of hate it did. It was a little slice of all right. Yeah, totally. House of Wax, totally good. And Travis says, any chance of the Shotcast coming back? Not likely. Not because my problem is I just don't have a whole lot of time to game, much less do another show that I've got to edit. If it were just, hey, let's play some video games and somebody else handled the production side of that, probably. But yeah, I just don't have the time for it, unfortunately. You just got to kind of pick your battles. And like, am I going to do a movie podcast or a video game podcast? There is every chance in the world that I will do some video game stuff on Dark Parade, and we'll try to pull Dolan into that. That is not immediately on the horizon, but it is not out of the realm of possibility. And I would very much like to do that. Elizabeth Moss, Andrew says, thank you. Dan says, are you looking forward to Ghostbusters Afterlife? And same question about Halloween Kills. I've got the same answer. Not really. Ghostbusters Afterlife feels like a family-friendly movie, and that's not what I want from Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is, you know, this is using a cliche. Ghostbusters is lightning in a bottle. It is 3 comedic actors at the height of their comedic powers with a comedic director at the height of his. And it's terrific. It's very funny. It doesn't skimp on being kind of creepy and ghoulish at times, thanks to Dan Aykroyd's script. This seems more like, hey, these kids are on a wacky adventure with ghosts, and Paul Rudd is along for the ride. And I'm not, like, I don't want to sound like I'm hating on Ghostbusters Afterlife. I watched the trailer for it, which is something I don't normally do, but I watched the trailer and I was like, I just don't think it's for me. You know, like it looks like it would be a fun summer movie, even though it's not coming out in the summer because of the pandemic. But it seems like a fun special effects summer movie. and at some point I'll see it once it hits the streaming services. If it shows up on HBO Max at the same time they release in theaters, I would watch it that way, but I won't. Like, the next movie I'm going to go to the theaters for is Dune. Even though that I could watch that on HBO Max, I'm still going to go to the theater to see Dune because it's a Denis Villeneuve movie and it's a new adaptation of Dune, and it looks like they also really like the Lynch version and are keeping some of that DNA. So, okay, so that's Ghostbusters Afterlife. Halloween Kills, I will probably watch on Paramount Plus. I'll probably sign up for a free subscription or like the trial period or whatever to watch that. I was real lukewarm about the new Halloween. I thought it was fine, but also, you know, at the end of the day, I'm not a giant fan of slasher movies. I love the original Halloween because the original Halloween isn't necessarily a slasher. I mean, it is a slasher movie, but it's sort of the proto-slasher. And it also, it's the music, it's Donald Pleasance, it's a vibe in that movie. You know, it's PJ Souls saying, "Someone got your ghost." You know, like it's all these little moments, and partly because I grew up with it and that kind of thing. And I've said this before, but my nostalgia is for movies that I've seen. So watching the original Halloween is nostalgic. Watching a movie that is evocative of the original Halloween doesn't hit my nostalgia nerves. It just reminds me like, oh, I should go back and watch that movie I like, and not the movie that's kind of reminding me of the movie I like. And so I wasn't blown away by the not original, but the, you know, new Halloween. And so Halloween Kills, I haven't seen the trailer. I know it's out there, and I know I've seen people complain that it gives away a lot of the kills and so forth, but I was also like, fine. It's just not for me. Everybody talk about Gene Hackman rightly. Travis saying Underwater was amazing. 100%. Underwater is like that movie came and went, but if you get the opportunity to watch Underwater, absolutely do. It's got one of those Lethal Weapon 2 beginnings where it's like, we're not messing around with a whole lot of character setup. We are just going to start the movie. And it's also like 90 minutes long, if that. It's Underwater rocks. That's a great movie. Gary says, I got newfound respect for Paris Hilton after hearing stories from the Repo set. Very classy and intelligent lady. I don't think Repo's a great movie. There are things I like about Repo, the genetic opera, but I don't necessarily... I was going to say I don't have a problem with Paris Hilton. I have a problem with any child born into that kind of wealth. I don't know if it's because I'm jealous or I just don't think that a person ought to, I don't like a built-in aristocracy, but I don't think Paris Hilton is a knee-jerk bad person just because she was famous for being famous. And I've heard good things about her. I've heard she is not a terrible person. And especially, doesn't she have kids or something? I felt like I had heard that once she had kids, like, just like everybody, you know, you just settle down. She was young and had buckets of money, and why wouldn't you be an asshole? Rayman saying, It Chapter 2 has some great moments, but I have no desire to rewatch it soon. I'm kind of in the same boat. It does have some nice moments, and I'll take more Bill Hader anytime I can get it. I love Bill Hader. But yeah, it's not one of my favorites. Phoenix. God damn it. Look, this is embarrassing. Is it Joseph? Is that who Phoenix is? Because I know that I always get it wrong because it's not the person's name. And I feel like total garbage for not remembering. So I'm so sorry. Jason. God damn it, Jason. Fuck. You're right. God damn it. Sorry. Do you think you go to hell for saying those bad words that many times in a row? So anyway, Jason, sorry. I am so sorry. Jason saying the library ghost is one of the first scares I can remember. Yeah, for sure. The taxi ghost like is all rotted and gnarly and stuff. And that's the thing I don't think that you're going to see that much of in Ghostbusters Afterlife. Uh, Dan says Danish chair terrified me as a kid. Right? Yeah, the things reaching out and grabbing her by the face and all that stuff. Yeah, really scary. Andrew saying he's more excited for Last Night in Soho than Dune. I mean, maybe. I'm looking forward to Last Night in Soho, no doubt about it. But Dune is. I mean, were you aware that fear is the mind killer? Is that something that we need to talk about, Andrew? That once fear burns everything else away, only I remain. I'm such a nerd for. I've never even read the book. I've listened to the audiobook, most of it or some of it, but I just couldn't get through it. Like, it's a really chunky book, and it's very sci-fi, and sci-fi just never was my jam. But for whatever reason, the David Lynch Dune, like, hit me where I lived. I loved it. And I still watch it about once a year. I've got the assembly cut that's like 4 hours long and doesn't have any effects, and it don't make no more sense than the Lynch theatrical cut does. But I love it. I love Dune. There's something about it. It's very sci-fi Game of Thrones in a lot of ways. But I'm looking forward to Dune. But that is not speaking ill of Edgar Wright and Last Night in Soho. I'm looking forward to that as well. Trevor says Halloween was a great movie, but as a franchise, it fell off a cliff pretty quickly. Yeah, I mean, this is speaking as a guy who wrote a movie that the director of Halloween 2 is in. Rick Rosenthal is the sheriff in Lost After Dark. But I don't think Halloween 2 is a great movie. It's okay. It's no Halloween. Halloween 3 is interesting because it's a totally different bonkers thing. And then after Halloween 3, all of the rest of that stuff is garbage as far as I'm concerned. Some good kills here and there, but that's not a movie. Like, I like good kills in a movie, and it enhances a horror film for me. But if that is all you're bringing to the table, not that interested. Yeah, but I agree, Travis. I think you're right. Alan says, let's see, air never escaped my balloon faster than the last 20 minutes of Halloween 2018. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. That has a real flaccid ending, if you know what I mean. Jason, oh yeah, that's just you correcting me for being stupid. Anthony Held is the best part of Repo the Genetic Opera. Yeah, and I also like the song Zydrate Anatomy quite a bit. That's probably my favorite thing in the movie is when they're doing that song. Rayman saying Halloween Ends is making a big mistake if they don't cast Tom Atkins. Wasn't Tom Atkins in the 2018 Halloween? Am I remembering that wrong? Wasn't he on the porch or something? Anyway, you're not wrong. Like, your movie is going to be better if you put Tom Atkins in it. It's like Paul Giamatti. You put Paul Giamatti in your movie, it's already better. I don't care what you're doing. It's a better movie. Travis saying, did you see the Dune miniseries that aired on the Sci-Fi Channel? I did. I didn't hate it, but it was a little cheap. Which that's not a great complaint of it. It just didn't have the Lynchian weirdness. And yeah, it was fine, but I'm really looking forward to the Villeneuve film, just because I don't think that Denis Villeneuve has made a bad movie. I love everything he's done. Even Enemy, I know a lot of people kind of bag on Enemy for being really obtuse and overly artsy and whatnot. I don't care. I think that movie's awesome. So yeah. I mean, that's a real wishy-washy answer about the Doom miniseries of like, yeah, it's fine. But that's kind of how I felt about it. But the new Dune, that's maybe the movie I'm most excited about in the next 6 months. That is it Joel Cohen who's doing Macbeth? That looks really cool. Rayman asking, do you watch the David Lynch Daily Weather Report? Not every day, but I do watch a healthy amount of that stuff. My favorite is the Can You Believe It's Friday? I like that quite a bit. So yeah, David Lynch he's just one of the great artists working in film today. He's not technical in the way that like a Kubrick or a Hitchcock is, but he lives in such a world of dream logic and subjectivity and sort of internal mystery. I just think he's one of the most interesting directors around. And a lot of his stuff doesn't make sense, and not all of his stuff lands with me in a way that is satisfying. You know, there's plenty of stuff that I'm not crazy about, but then, you know, something like, you know, what was the Naomi Watts one? Shit, my brain is just falling apart on me these days, people. You know, not just like Twin Peaks: The Return, but a lot of his, pretty much everything short of Inland Empire. And I wasn't crazy about Inland Empire, but anyway, David Lynch is a treat, and he's funny. You know, that's the other thing I really like about Lynch is the fact that he's got such a sense of humor about himself and his work. He's not precious about it. Like he stands by it and he respects it, but he's also really, really funny. Mulholland Drive, that's what I was trying to think of. The other one I was trying to think of that I really, really like is where, oh good Lord, he's done so many shorts. That's just it's hard to keep. Lost Highway is the one I was trying to think of. I think Lost Highway, one of the great David Lynch movies that not as many people talk about, but Robert Loggia in Lost Highway dressing that dude down about proper driving safety, just the absolute best. Yeah, Mulholland Drive. Thanks, Dan. Alan saying Enemy is my favorite Denis Villeneuve movie, and I'm a dummy. Yeah, I mean, my favorite is probably Arrival. I think Arrival is really beautiful, and it speaks to me because I love movies about the idea of interacting with another intelligence and trying to, like, a movie built around, like, how do we talk to these creatures who we don't share any point of reference with? You know, it's sort of the Darmok episode of Star Trek The Next Generation writ large, and I really, really liked it. Andrew saying, I'm glad I saw Inland Empire in theaters. It's the only David Lynch I've seen in theaters. I saw Wild at Heart in theaters. That was the first Lynch movie I ever saw in a theater. And sure enough, Andrew saying that Wild at Heart is underrated David Lynch. Yeah, Wild at Heart is fantastic. In fact, if you ever want to make one Chad Cooper laugh, all you have to do is say, "Do you want to fuck Lula's mama?" and he will lose his shit, as you should. Okay, all right. Look, this has been a blast. We are now going on hour 40. Ideally, these would be about an hour long, but you know, it's been a while since we've done one. Thank you so much for coming out for this. The idea is we're going to do it every Sunday at 5:00. The audio version will be released as Morbid Mondays in the Dark Parade main feed. Here's where I beg you to subscribe to the Dark Parade. You can go to legionpodcast.com, click on podcasts, and you'll see the picture for the Dark Parade. Click on that guy and it's links to iTunes and all that stuff. iTunes and Android and Spotify and iHeartRadio and Google Play, all that stuff. We're there. We're everywhere. Much like Roy Kent, we're here, we're there, we're every fucking where. And please share it around. Like I said, we're kind of building this from the ground up. You guys are here to participate in show number 1. And so I'm so grateful to you all for being here. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks for all the comments. That's what makes this fun. That's what makes this a good time, to kind of have this interaction. And if you guys play your cards right, next week I'll do more James Mason for you. So we'll be back next Sunday for more of this. Please subscribe. Please share this around. And leave some suggestions. Let me know what you want what you want to talk about, what you want to hear me talk about, what movies you think we ought to be covering on Dark Parade, all that stuff. You can on Twitter, it's Dark Parade Pod. On Facebook, just look for the Dark Parade. I think it's facebook.com/groups/ the Dark Parade, or Dark Parade, just Dark Parade. Anyway, track me down there. I'm very interactive in those spaces. And yeah, I think that's it. So thanks for episode 1. This was episode 1. You guys were critical to episode 1 of the Dark Parade, which will be dropping tomorrow. If you are listening to this on audio, thanks for listening. And please drop by Sunday evenings on YouTube. And you too, not the band who were part of the Troubles, but you too can also participate in this conversation. So again, thank you so much. And new stuff coming Wednesday. Probably Friday is going to be Heart of Horror #1. And then we'll be back a week from today to talk live, and we can talk about all that stuff. We can talk about what you thought about all the stuff we did. So thanks everyone. Thanks for everyone in chat, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.